Welcome everybody to another In the Paint Show, episode 184. I appreciate everybody staying with us as the course of the year. We're switching into the spring season here with my co-host Chelsea Hopkins, Umana. Great to be with them as usual. We had a monster day, mainly in women's sports and women's college basketball kind of steal the show as we shoot here on this Monday. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great. I mean, we just had some fantastic women's basketball. As a fan, as a former player, like you can't ask for, a better night of hoops. And, I love that the women are finally getting their due and their love. And I'm looking at Twitter and everybody's on the timeline and everybody seemed locked into the game. So that's just special. I'm ecstatic.
Yeah, it's been good, man. Tonight, especially women's basketball, was great. Just the level of basketball that was being played was great. And the Elite Eight for the men's, it was good. It's been a good week of basketball. It's a great time.
I mean, that's really what Ani is like, drowns out everything. Especially, it seems like this year, Ani, we got McDonald's coming up this week and on Tuesday. Then we're going to get into Chipotle Nationals. But because I guess of all the various players, the age of the players that are on the successful teams on the Moines side, like, that is out drowning any high school accolades or any high school action right now because the teams that are winning are experienced. They usually have some transfers and they're usually older. What would you say about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think for the high school realm, as far as McDonald's, you're looking more importance on the pro side because you got some guys that are potentially one and dones, two and dones, and stuff like that. And from the collegiate side, I mean, there's important of the ones that are committed to these guys, but it's look at NC State, bunch of portal guys. Look, I mean, UConn does more recruit and groom, but I mean, a lot of these teams are just really hitting the portal. Got older guys, 22, 23, 24. Old boy that was at Oakland, what was he, 26 years old? Beat Kentucky. So, I mean, the thing is, you're not going to win a lot of games or make it far in the tournament with young guys, but I do think the young guys, like the young up-and-coming guys, are the ones that have the star power. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In men's, typically is how it goes, but just as far as like winning championships and stuff like that, they're all older. Dalton Connect, like 23 years old or 22, 23 years old, transfer from Northern Colorado, and he's probably arguably was the best, perimeter player in college basketball this year. So it just, for the men's side, so obviously it just, the portal and just the age of these guys, I mean, that's what's important right now. I mean, my phone just won't stop ringing, bro. Like, it's all portal. It's been all portal, like, the whole time, bro. Like, no one's asked about no high school. I said that in past episodes, but seriously, like, guys, I took an hour nap, had 12 missed calls.
Wow. Yeah, and that's what it's all about. You see these teams winning and advancing on the men's side. It's just like you said, it might be a role player here, might be a rebounder guy, a stretch four or a two guard you need to fill a role. They're older. They're coming from the college ranks. So not much surprise, Chelsea, with the top teams, which would be UConn and Purdue. Again, we could have an upset with NC State, who was in the Final Four on both men's and women's. And then obviously, I kind of called it. I said the West region is going to get busted up. I knew North Carolina wasn't going to advance.
Yeah.
And that's the region that got busted up. And obviously UConn's rolling in their region and they're a big favorite in their semifinal.
No, absolutely. I mean, the men's game has definitely had a lot more surprises. I don't know about you guys, but, my bracket was definitely busted. Kentucky losing early, like some of those games. But the bottom line, most people picked UConn. UConn's on pace. I honestly didn't have Purdue going this far, but Zach Edey, National Player of the Year, probably, person. I wouldn't even say candidate. He's the front runner. He's delivered. Purdue's doing well. UConn is winning by a margin of victory, like 25. They beat my San Diego State boys pretty bad too.
Sure.
I can see UConn finishing the job, but I think NC State is on an absolute magical run. DJ Burns has been absolutely exceptional. Do you think that they could sustain it? Like, they've beaten all these teams. It's kind of been like, like a legendary run. Like, even forget if they win the championship. The way that they won the ACC tournament, beating North Carolina, Duke, and Virginia, then they play Duke again and end up beating them. Like, you have to give credit where credit is due. And NC State men and women are both in the Final Four since the first time ever. And it's just really fun to watch.
Yeah, Burns.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Annie.
Yeah, like no, NC State. If you listen to Burns's interview, he just said, eventually guys like just started buying in and just started kind of, just buying into what coach was saying, stop arguing as much and just playing. And that's also it's funny because you added like 7 to 8 transfers NC State did, so it's going to take some time for everyone to gel and get going. They're defending a lot better. They're really playing inside with to DJ, really letting him initiate the offense. Teams are having a hard time deciding if they want to double him and let him pick him apart with the passing or single coverage. Like Duke did a lot of single coverage and he just was torching them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think like Middlebrook, who kind of comes in that does a really good job. It's the other cat. I forgot his name. I mean, the front line's really holding up. DJ Horn has been really good. So just seeing how they're defending, though, like in defending ball screens. I mean, Burns isn't the quickest, but like that drop coverage and then the guards really fighting over or under, depending on the personnel on those ball screens, has really been big time for NC State.
Yeah, no doubt. NC State's a great story on the men's side. Like you said, they had to win the AC tournament to get like a favorable seed and get hot, and that obviously helped them. They're about, and this is for the Ballislife betting world, but they're like about a 9.5 point underdog, but that seems like not bad. Like they can, they can cover because they covered against Duke. People thought they were going to cover against Duke, and they won the game.
Right.
And for UConn, I mean, honestly, Chelsea, I wouldn't even hate to say, but it's the truth that I thought they rolled past San Diego State with like 70% effort. They didn't even. It's not that they're just better teams.
Right.
Yeah. They're just better. They were going to beat them, and then the Illinois game, I'm like, okay, they're going to have to bring a little bit more, and then. What did you guys think? Just 30-0 run like Illinois. What is going on? Like, you're not that bad. You are not as good, but I don't know. They just like the ball got rolling and they just never recovered. You don't see a game like that too much, especially like in the Elite 8 type, Sweet 16 type game. You know what I mean? So I don't know if you guys had any bigger thoughts. I don't think there's any bigger thoughts. This is those two. UConn is much better. Purdue is probably the second best team. And then the field is just, like you said, a team gets hot, team does good, and one bracket got busted up as the bracket we thought was the bracket with North Carolina.
Right. UConn can just beat you in so many ways. Donovan Clingan is, people talk about Zach Edey. I mean, he's been great.
Correct.
And DJ Burns, he's been great. But people haven't talked about Donovan Clingan. Like, he's been playing really good. Like, he's been making a huge presence on both ends of the floor.
No doubt.
And that's why, people are saying potentially top 5, top 3 draft pick. I mean, he's really making an impact on both ends. It's just UConn is dominating their games, so there's not a lot. People just. I mean, people are talking about it's not a lot. Like, he should be getting the attention Zach Edey and Burns are getting. Obviously, Burns taking 11 seed to Final Four. I think, of course, Zach had a 40-point game, but Donovan Clingan is right there. I mean, he's been a very good for UConn. Been a catalyst, especially just in the interior.
Correct, no doubt. And I kind of wrap this up on the men's side. I wrote a story just about the 10 like shocking moments of the NCAA tournament since I've been following. It kind of covers that, like in terms of recruiting and what it's meant, transfers, the biggest moments since the tournament went to the 64 teams. Basically, for 40 years now, we've had 64 teams with the minus the play-in. And you just go to ballslife.com to get a little more detail, but it's just like. And then people, I'm not going to say nothing until it happens, but if UConn wins, people are like, how does this team compare to the great team? So we'll talk about that if indeed it does happen. It looks like they're going to repeat, that they're the favorite. I would say they have probably, a 60% chance to repeat, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Purdue probably has 25% chance. And North Carolina, Alabama have like a 10% chance to win the game for 2 more games,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Alabama would have to shoot out of their mind. And then they might have to win. They might be able to like pull off an upset in the last few minutes, but they'd have to play out of their mind.
Just their interior defense isn't strong. That's the only thing. He's gotten better in this run, but their interior defense, Zach Edey or Clingan, I mean,
they have nothing to lose. I mean, Alabama just fired from 3. See if it, get back on D, and we'll go from there. So
Sears has been like mini Jalen Brunson. Sears has been a player.
Sears has been a good player.
He's been a player.
Yeah, Alabama's on a roll again. When you hit the 3 ball. And score off a turnover and play fast and get enough possessions, get enough shots up, and you rebound just good enough, you got a chance. But it's going to be hard to beat those 2 teams, I think now. I just said to people again, I know, Chelsea, you thought maybe Purdue would get knocked out, but I just figured based on what happened to them last year and recent years, it was just kind of their time, their due. Like they're going to probably make the Final Four. I said that at going into 3C. I just thought it was their time. Nothing. They just worked, they grinded, and obviously they have a great player. If you get 40-16, you're going to want to win. And they barely, they got them by 6 or 7, so they did what they had to. So we'll be watching that. Me and Ani will be there in Arizona Valley of the Sun this week for Final Four festivities. There'll be a lot going on. USA basketball. I know, Ani, we're looking forward to seeing some of the younger guys, the elite guys. And again, everybody's high school season is over except for the guys who are playing in the 8 teams in Chipotle National. So,
right.
We're not spending too much time on that. We want to get to the main topic. It's really something that hits home for Chelsea and all of us now because it's bigger.
Right.
The women's bracket and the women's tournament, and they have a good, moving their games in a Monday for their Elite 8 games. And it was the rematch of last year's championship game. And then it was UConn versus USC. So Chelsea, just give us your highline takes, 3 takes, what you took away from it, and then we can get more into it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, today we had just some marquee matchups with the absolute best players women's college basketball has to offer. Sure. In the first game, we had LSU and Iowa. That's a rematch of the national championship game. And Caitlin Clark, as expected, shined, as we all thought that she would. I mean, 41 points, led Iowa to a fairly easy, victory. I think the score kind of was a little bit closer than the actual game, but Caitlin controlled that game from start to finish. She was hitting threes like crazy. You really can't say anything about her other than she is who she is. Like, she's as good as advertised. She is the best player in women's college basketball, and she did what she was supposed to do. Now, on the other end, you have Angel Reese and LSU, who at the beginning put up a good fight. Angel Reese ended up her ankle in the game. She finished with 17, and she did what she had to do. Ultimately, my biggest takeaway from that game was coaching. And I say this because, not to ever take anything away from Caitlin Clark. That girl is a generational college player. She's one of the best our game has ever seen. But I don't understand the game plan when you have an all-time great. Like, yeah, that was the easiest 40 points Caitlin's probably scored all year. Like, no double team, no hard hedge. No, she's just floating around, living her best life and shooting like she does in her backyard. It was too easy and too crazy. Now, a lot of people had LSU winning that game because if you look at their roster from start to finish, LSU has the better team. They're better at every position with the exception of Caitlin Clark. But when you have a Caitlin Clark, anything could happen. And she really just head and shoulders was the best player on the floor. And she led her team to a comeback, I guess kind of revenge win over the team that beat them in the national championship. And now she finds herself back into the Final Four. And we're expecting similar performances to what we saw tonight. So, I have to tip my hat to a player like that because although I thought the defense and the game plan and all that was absolutely horrendous in terms of, her supposedly being the focal point. But like I told you guys before, you got to make those shots. She's shooting the ball from half court at the logo. Like, you still got to make it, whether you're open or not. So, sure. That was just an incredible game. And, shout out to everybody that was tuned in and just locked into women's basketball. That's what I like the most. Like, sure. Just people are taking an interest in the women's game and just seeing how exciting and how fun it can be. So that's my take on game 1. As far as game 2 goes, we had USC Trojans as the number 1 seed playing against number 3 UConn. And I think just experience and being in the moment kind of just reigned supreme. USC is headlined by incredible freshman Juju Watkins, who, you can make a case is probably the second best player in women's college basketball. But going up against a very experienced coach, a very experienced team in UConn that has been there, done that before. And they're true to this, not new to this. And They finally have healthy Paige, who has always been one of the premier players since she stepped into college. She was National Player of the Year as a freshman, and she kind of took over that game late. So again, I just feel super excited for the direction that women's basketball is going in. And I'm glad that people are talking about it, paying attention, watching, because something is definitely special happening on the women's side. And we have a lot of players that should hopefully keep the momentum going forward.
Yeah. That makes sense. Ani, go ahead and jump in there with a couple of your thoughts. I'm going to ask Chelsea a couple of questions.
Yeah, I mean, LSU's game plan defensive, they could have switched up. Sorry, guys. I don't think I hear people, not you, Chelsea, but people say, "Oh, Kim Mulkey can't coach." Well, she has 3 national championships. She had a bad coaching day. You know what I'm saying? Like she got out. I mean, she should have made some changes. I don't want to say necessarily out coach. You can say that, but she had a bad coaching day. She should have made some adjustments, in my opinion. Like Chelsea said, like some hard hedges, some doubles, just change up some defensive reads. But one thing about Caitlin, I mean, even though her assist numbers are virtually the same as last year, she's a lot better passer than she was a year ago. And I think how she threads the needle, she really gives her teammates confidence. Her support system's a lot better. Those girls have gotten a lot better too. I understand the fear of double teaming that is because they feel like she will pick them apart. Yeah. Well,
they're gonna cut and get layups. That's what I would say too.
Right. So I understand. Same thing with DJ Burns. Why do the teams decide not to double team in the post? Because he's gonna pick them apart with cutters and open guys on the wing and corner. So I get that. But I will say that you probably should have put Flauge, that's how you say her name? Yeah, put her on the ball, kind of switch up who you put on her, be a little bit more physical. Caitlin is very finesse and cerebral, but you could still put some physicality on her, to just make her work. Listen, great players, and that's one thing I have realized. Great players, if they want to drop 40, they'll drop 40, right?
Yeah.
Let me look at the men's side. Steph, Luka, they all want to drop 40, they can. You feel me? Even girls like Paige or Juju, right? But you got to make them work harder to get 40. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? If they want to drop 40, you really can't stop them from getting 40, but you can you can decide if that 40 is going to be easy or hard. That's what LSU should have done. I thought they should have threw it to Angel Reese in the post more. I know her 21 shot attempts maybe can confuse people that didn't really watch the game. I thought if you kind of throw it to her more or in Morrow, it just generated so much gravity, which could have got more people open shots. Obviously, Haley didn't shoot it great. Was kind of surprised they didn't do more ball screens with Haley and Morrow or Angel. Just were kind of get them in short roll situations. But overall, Caitlin was just a beast. Her passing, her evolution of her passing, and really her handle, especially attacking left and scoring left.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, I'm not gonna yes, LSU should have made some adjustments, bro. To me, look at her last year to now, she's gotten so much better. and I don't care how LSU could have made it harder, but she was so far the best player on the floor. Whoever was second is 3 tiers below her. Right. That's how good she is. Not was tonight. That's how tonight. Yeah. That's how good she is. And I think to me, that's more of the moral of the story. Yes, the coaching should have been better. Yes, they could have done something, but Caitlin is that good. She's that good. I ain't gonna lie, she's that good.
I object, Ani. I don't dispute Caitlin being that good. She is everything. But the first play of the game, Haley Van Leeth goes under the screen. They're playing drop coverage with the post. The best thing that Caitlin Clark could do is shoot the ball. So I'm not saying that you're going to stop her from shooting. But Kim knows obviously that you have to make some adjustments because she tried to the last 3 minutes of the game when they're down 10 points. Now she wants to press. Now she wants to put Flauge Johnson on her, who has 4 fouls. I don't understand the initial game plan. So I don't really give Kim a pass. You left Haley Van Leeth out there on the island with Caitlin Clark, and 100% correct in the your point being that she's going to score points, but it's how somebody scores points. And I navigated my Twitter timeline the entire game. All the WNBA players are going crazy saying, dang, y'all going to go under the screen on Caitlin? Dang, y'all going to let Caitlin float in transition? Dang, y'all going to put a small guard with no athleticism, no size, no strength on Caitlin? Nobody understood what was happening. So I don't give Kim Mulkey a pass for her coaching performance. I feel like as a coach, you have to put your players in the best position. And if Haley Van Leaf is out there contesting Caitlin Clark to the best of her ability and she's just making those shots, then that's one thing. But I saw at least 5 threes where Caitlin Clark is playing on the island, tween. Okay, nobody's coming. I'm just going to shoot it. Like, that was crazy.
Right.
So I don't want to take away from Caitlin, though, like at all. Like I said, you have to make those shots. They're incredible shots. They're from distance. They're hard.
Yeah, like
that was one of the lightest defensive performances she's had against her in the tournament. We can go back to 2 games ago in West Virginia. They were in Caitlin. Caitlin still finished with 30 points, but she didn't finish with 30 points on efficient shooting night because every shot she got was hard and tough and contested and, under duress. Caitlin had no stress today, like whatsoever.
I think her supporting cast being better. I'm saying Kim did not have a good coaching performance. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like she didn't. But what I'm saying is, I don't think it would have changed the outcome of that game.
No, they still could have won.
I think Iowa just a better basketball team. I don't think Kim put her team in the best position to even have a better chance of winning that game. But I do think, regardless, like, her supporting cast being better and having confidence in scoring and Caitlin's evolution as a passer, you can make it tougher. I think they should have made it tougher on her, but I still think she would have figured it out. Like that, I'm not trying to like be on her stuff like that, but I'm just saying, I just know when I'm watching something, it's like, yo, like she's like that. Like y'all, you can't stop her. You can contain her. They should have done a better job of containing her some more. But she was on a different time, especially tonight. Especially, they lost to them in the championship. The whole shit. Like let's be real. Like them girls remember that shit from last year. Like they coming in, they gonna get this one. So like that's my take. I think the whole focus should be the fact that Caitlin is just that much better than even the second best player on the floor.
Just little stuff, the conditioning, they were running up and down. Caitlin making full court passes. Like LSU looked out of shape, looked out of sync, and to your point, they have the better players, especially on paper. But they didn't have the better team, not today. And it was the best player on the floor.
They didn't have the better team at all.
Well, Chelsea, my question is like, was all the attention after they won the national championship? Did the people surrounding them, as far as LSU and the people around them, did they do a good job kind of getting those girls to just focus on hoops? Or did you feel like all the stuff kind of after the championship was too much of a distraction? Not saying they didn't put in any work or whatever, but like, at some point did they feel like, this was going to be like getting back to the Final Four, winning a national championship was going to be easier than what they did in the past? I mean, I'm happy they got all the attention they did. It just, from the outside looking in, it just looked like it could have been handled better and keeping them still locked in.
Yeah, I don't think that. I think that there's always going to be outside distractions, especially when you have players at the caliber of Angel Reese and Flau'jae Johnson. Like on one court, we had the 3 highest NIL earners in all of basketball. I mean, Caitlin, Angel, Flau'jae, they're all making millions of dollars off the court, and there's a lot of stuff going on. From a pure basketball standpoint, I don't feel that Angel has improved tremendously. You mentioned the Caitlin Clark's just improvement from start to finish from last year to this year. I think Flau'jae made a huge jump.
I agree.
In terms of her production, she was the best player for LSU throughout this NCAA tournament run. She didn't have her best game today. So obviously you have to keep the main thing. And with, and credit to Caitlin Clark, like she has handled everything with poise and grace and just continue to work on her game and to continue to produce with the weight on her shoulders. I think when you win a national championship like LSU, you're obviously going to come back with a target. But I don't think Kim Mulkey prepared for this in terms of how she built the roster, how she reloaded. LSU as the weakest bench of everybody that's played the NCAA. They're 7-man deep, and it's not because of injuries. We can look at UConn, who's going back to the Final Four, who had 7 girls in sweatpants on the sideline. Like, it's not like their team was hobbled by injuries. Kim Mulkey didn't reload. She got 2 amazing players, the 2 best players out of the transfer portal, but no bench, no depth, no chemistry. Like, they beat a lot of teams this year because they were just more talented.
Right.
And like I told you, that's why I told you I wasn't picking them to win anything this year. Because when you come down to these games and you get down to the nitty gritty, the best teams are going to prevail. And Caitlin has her team playing better than they've ever played. She's the best player in college basketball. And like you said, there was a night and day difference between just the teams and how they were playing. Like star power aside, like Iowa was just better than them today. Like period. So I don't think Kim Mulkey has done a good job personally, and I understand her resume and I can't take any of that away from her national championships and stuff like that, but I can critique her coaching and how she reloaded this season to defend her title.
Sure.
She didn't do a good job. Period.
Sure. That's why I want to get it. I don't think she did a good job on that.
You can have a up and down year as coach as a player too, right? You have an off year. That can make sense. You're distracted. Maybe you didn't bring in the right girls. Like you don't have the right chemistry. So I have 3 questions. You kind of answered them, but I want people to know the questions because you played at that level. Is 1, if a coach tells you, to do a certain thing and you go under the screen, let's make sure we stay in front of them. Put your hand up. Can you go against that? Be like, hey, coach, we're getting destroyed here. Do you guys ever do that? Like amongst the girls, like, coach, we got to fight through. We got to go over the top. We got to switch. Or is that just not happening in college basketball? If a coach tells you to do something, you guys do it, or else you're going to go to the bench.
That's not happening in this day and age. But what you're saying would have happened if I was playing. Like I said, you're not. I can't. I have too much pride. I love basketball too much. Caitlin Clark would have probably still scored 40 points on me, but it would have been she would have been falling out, and it would have been the hardest 40 points that she'd ever had to get because there's just no way. She was just out there floating. No hard fouls, no hard hedges. I'm not saying ever to hurt a player. I'm not talking being dirty, but I'm just saying let's give an NBA comparison. The Michael Jordan rules. He was scoring all them damn points. He's coming into the paint. He's getting put on the floor by the bad boy Pistons. Something that's going to at least make him think twice about what was going on. Yeah, like I as a player too, I would have huddled my girls up and said, yo, I don't know what coach is talking about. Y'all better get up here and hedge. Angel, I don't know what this drop coverage is. I'm going to fight over the screen. And if she beats me, you better be there over the top waiting for her before she shoots a 3. Like, period. I didn't see any of that. I didn't see that energy. I didn't see that pride.
You didn't have the energy.
Yeah, I didn't see it at all.
The second question I have is for your coaches. Again, now your coach me in San Diego State and Duke may not have had the ego that Kim Mulkey or Dawn Staley have, meaning positive or negative. Just Kim Mulkey got a big ego. She thinks she's the shit of the girls on the team. Okay, she is in a way. Like Honey said, she has 3 national titles or whatever. So, do you think it could be just stubbornness? Like, yo, they're beating. Well, this is our game plan. If she beats us with 40, was our game plan. Sorry, or no? Do coaches adjust? Like, okay, wait, we have to adjust now, or no? Do you know in your experience?
I give her no passes. Like I said before, she tried to make adjustments when there was 3 minutes left on the clock and we're down 10 points. That needed to happen a long time ago. I give her no passes.
Okay, like, no passes. I give Hubert Davis no passes in North Carolina because they were up 1. You had a non-shooter. I'm switching to the boys' side real quick.
Yeah.
And a guy, a non-shooter, has the ball. It's not love. And I'm like, oh my God, he's gonna shoot it. I was like, timeout. I'm screaming, get a timeout. Sure enough, the shot goes up. They miss it. Alabama comes down and scores. That costs you the game. And 1. It was an and 1 after that play. So again, little things like that. And sometimes I think, again, coaches could be hard. So I was just wondering if coaches tend to have, their ego in it and not change things because that's what the game plan they had.
Coaches do have an ego. But to your point, you're talking about the game plan. I listened to Kim Mulkey's post-game interview talking about there's no strategy for Caitlin Clark. Well, yes, there is. There's a strategy for every player. But Ron wasn't a good shooter in his early years of his career. The strategy was to sag off until he made some shots. Caitlin Clark loves to shoot when she goes left. The strategy is we're pushing her right and let's see if she can make shots at the same clip. There is a strategy in every game. I give coaching matters. Ultimately, the players have to play. And like I said, my biggest, problem with the LSU players is they didn't say, damn, Kim Mulkey, we have to make a change. This is crazy. So it goes both ways, but their coach didn't help them, Ronnie. Like if Kim Mulkey's my coach and she says, hey, Chelsea, get out there and guard Sylvia Fowles. Well, damn, you're not setting me up to do well. Sylvia Fowles supposed to her in the center and she's gonna kill me. Like
right.
She left Haley Van Leeth on an island like that. It was crazy. Like I honestly just have not seen anything like that in very high level women's basketball from a Hall of Fame coach. I haven't seen it. I just haven't seen it.
So then the third question I have is, you kind of mentioned it as well, but can you go into your bench and just say, okay, I got the best athlete. Again, and this might be me talking because I want an athlete who's just a good athlete. Maybe he's not the best player. Just for this situation, I want you to grab, hold, run with them, go over the screen. Make sure, like you said, make sure that you're sitting on top of them. Bump them a little bit. If you get a foul, we don't care because you're the 8th or 9th man. I want you in there. I want you to chase. That's your only job. Does that happen on the girls' side much? Like defensive specialists in college?
No, I think it definitely happens. Okay. It didn't happen tonight, though.
No,
yeah, I'm just wondering. She's having a blast. She was doing whatever she wanted to do. That's why I'm
watching enough to know if that happens. Like, hey, this team has a bad girl. She's not a great skill girl, but she gets in there and defends. You know what I mean?
And that's why I said I want people to go back and watch that Iowa game versus West Virginia. Yeah. Those girls were so physical with Caitlin, so tough with her. They had a chance to win. They couldn't win because they didn't have enough offense. And ultimately, they don't have the Caitlin Clark. So Iowa was going to win that game. But if you watch how they guarded her in that game, that's how people are going to guard Caitlin in the WNBA. It's going to be physical. It's going to be tough. And she's going to have to earn everything. And great players are still going to be great. To Ani's point, she's going to score. She's going to make threes. There's going to be breakdowns where she gets an open shot. But that can't be the norm for a player of her caliber. Yeah, Caitlin decided to pass today. If she wanted to shoot 10 more threes, Ani, I swear to God, she could have, and she probably would have made 7 of them.
Yeah, she might have made 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah. But you got to make it tougher. They had to make it tougher.
There was no resistance, and like I said, I don't want to discredit Caitlin Clark. You have to make every one of those damn shots, Ronnie. And there's a lot of girls who wide open couldn't make those shots. But I'm just saying,
most of a lot of college girls basketball players that I've seen couldn't make those shots in practice with nobody else guarding them.
Yeah, but you, I like to use a Steph Curry comparison because I very much believe that Caitlin Clark is the Steph Curry of women's college basketball. She's the greatest shot maker, especially from long distance, that I've personally seen. I don't think she's the best player I've ever seen, but best shooter, I think she's above and beyond the best women's college shooter we've ever seen. I could not ever imagine in an NBA game people going under the screens on Steph, letting him mosey up the court. I could never imagine it, Ani. And that's what I'm talking about. That is coaching. If you're going to let Steph do that, he's going to score 70 points. There's just no way.
So now they did it a little bit. Steph and Davidson when he made that.
Yeah, they went to the 8. I mean, he took
it to the 8 of Davidson. I mean, they did some dumb stuff with him too. Yeah. They kind of did some dumb stuff, but that's a good comparison because when I saw Steph. To me, when I saw Steph, I was like, oh, yeah, he's going to be really good pro. Because even Steph at Davidson, the shots he was making were crazy, but he was just picking defenses apart at the time.
Yeah. He had that great run. Yeah. And that was one of the points I made in my story, because when Kansas won the championship with Danny Manning, and really nobody even knows their other 4 starters. They played Oklahoma, who was heavily favored in their conference. And he had 31 and 18. It was he mattered. He was the difference. Larry Brown hired his dad because when he was a high school player in North Carolina, so he moved to Lawrence, Kansas for his senior year. And everybody was kind of why that didn't happen much like a package deal, Ani, but it paid off. They went to 2 Final Fours and they won 1. So if you have a great player, that matters. You know what I mean? Like we would say 100%. Now getting the great player in the portal, because I've read a little bit about Kim. I'm sorry, not Kim, but Caitlin Clark. And she was committed to another school. Then her parents were kind of wanted her to stay at home. You could kind of tell they were they wanted her to stay at home. She was going to go to Notre Dame. And that's what you need, that type of player. So then let's talk real quick about how good she is. And we'll talk a little bit about SC if you want. Ani, if you watch girls. Okay, so for today, she's by far the best shooter. It's a mile wide. Yeah. She's the best passer in college. Yeah. She's faster than any LSU girl. The girls were backpedaling. She's still blowing by them. So that's my next question, Chelsea. How bad? LSU was out of shape because I saw Angel Reese miss a free throw. And how do you get beat on a back door on a fast break off a missed free throw? You're just not paying attention. You're not running. I was like, this is not bad. This is bad. They're not going to come back. They're out of shape.
Like Steph Curry, another attribute that I want to say about Caitlin Clark, she is in incredible shape. She is going to run like crazy. You know, she always has the ball in her hand, gets rid of the ball when people are open for the pass. If you don't have the stamina to chase her around, like most people don't have the stamina to chase Steph Curry around, it's going to be a long night.
Right.
Period. Iowa doesn't go super deep in the bench either. Like truly, they're playing, 8 deep as opposed to LSU playing 7, but they were just in way better shape.
They were way better shape.
Way better
she
shape.
can sprint with the ball way better than their girls.
Yeah, Caitlin had 5 assists where they passed the ball out of the top, over the top, after a made basket, after a free throw. Like
that's not supposed to happen in a high level game.
Not at all.
No, that's not supposed to happen. That's a timeout. That's a 20-second timeout right there. If you score on the other end off that team's missed free throw, your own team, that's a no-no. I mean, I'm not a college basketball player.
Right.
I'm calling a timeout. Like that's a bad play. So back to that, like, because Chelsea, 2 weeks ago, you didn't think they had the horses to get back to the Final Four. So is like Kate Martin and the girls just had a great night, or like are they a little, like Ani said, they may be a little better, just good enough with her where they got it to it? Or what do you think there?
I made the comment that I didn't think that they have the horses, but I did make the comment that they have Caitlin, who can just win you a damn game, period. Like she can do that. I think they're going to play against a more experienced team in UConn coming up. They're going to play against a 100% better coach who's just not going to let some of the stuff that happened today happen. And so I'm very interested to see, she, to your point, she has those girls believing. And those girls, when you have a star like that, and I got Caitlin Clark behind me and believing in me and passing me the ball when she really could shoot a 3, that makes you want to score, want to help her carry the load, make her feel like she's not doing it alone. So the momentum and the motion that this team has going right now, it would not surprise me if they won their next game and made it to the national championship. I don't think that they're the best team of the teams that are left. Like, I don't. South Carolina is still head and shoulders the best team. But what I will say is Caitlin Clark is the best player in the tournament as we speak right now. Now,
best player in the tournament in a while.
I mean, Paige might have something to say about that. Paige Bueckers was absolutely sensational today. Like, if you had the chance to watch her, it's going to be a hell of a matchup. And if I know anything about Paige, she's going to take it personal. And why I feel she's going to take it personal is because I just watched her guard Juju Watkins for most of the game when they're playing against USC. She said, Juju's going to do her thing and be great. Well, I'm going to take the challenge and guard her, and I'm going to be great too. So I can very much see Paige doing the same thing. And I can very much see UConn and Gino just making it tougher. Caitlin is still going to shine. She averages 30 points, which means no matter who she's playing, she's going to score 30 points. But it's how she gets it that makes the difference. I think of the 4 teams that are left, I think South Carolina is still the best. I think UConn, you could never discredit a team with just a winning pedigree and coach and history and still star power in their own right. And Paige Bueckers and Aaliyah Edwards, like they have the experience. Obviously, Iowa has Caitlin Clark, and then NC State, who's probably, the Cinderella story kind of the WNBA Final Four, just like NC State on the men's side. But I will say this about NC State. Just one quick note. NC State has the best backcourt left of the teams. They have Isaiah James and they have Sanaya Rivers, who is a transfer from South Carolina. Those 2 girls head to head can go against anybody, can outplay absolutely anybody. So I'm not going to say that either of them individually are the best players, because obviously Caitlin, there's people left, but those 2 together it's going to make it a little difficult on South Carolina. I think that they easily are going to have the best backcourt in the game, and South Carolina has the best team. So I'm just super excited, man. I don't want to say that I counted Iowa out. You can't count, somebody like Caitlin Clark out. But I still, even now, of the Final 4 teams, I don't think they have the best team.
Stop it. You did count them out, because in group text you said they're going to lose to Colorado. You said they weren't going to make it. So I said I could see them losing to
Colorado. Okay, this is true. Let me retract that. But I also said that Caitlin Clark can win you a game at any point in time. I've always said that from start to finish. So
out. Stop.
I did say
Don't say you did. Don't
but
say you
from
did.
what I saw today, and them damn Iowa girls, hell, they got a team. They got more than what most people think.
It goes to your point of like Danny Manning or Steph Curry. You start thinking like we do got that. When you go down the Dark Alley, you want Clayton Clark with you, so you start playing better because she's demanding it.
Yeah.
You know, like if she's playing that good, you have to rebound and play good. You can't.
You have to. I'm saying she got them girls playing inspired, but I'm just saying you go down the roster, Ani.
Yeah.
They've you know, even against LSU, they don't have a better, you know, personnel, individual talent. You know, they have Caitlin and she got them girls believing, and they believe, and they're playing like an exceptional team. So I have to tip my hat to that. Like I can't deny that.
Ronnie, to answer your question about Caitlin is a generational talent. I'm gonna be real.
Yeah, let's talk a little about that real quick. Like of the girls we've seen, you know, I don't know, 20 years, whatever you guys have watched the tournament. I'm trying to think real quick.
Diana Taurasi, you knew that was like, you know, she was gonna be like that. Like, I think Caitlin Clark is generational talent. Like, I think when she goes to the NBA, she won't dominate. Like, there's no way. Like, no, like I think that.
Why, Ani, if they set up good plays for her and they have good screener, why can't she shoot good?
But she's gonna be the #1 overall pick, bro. They're not gonna have pieces around her for her to be doing all that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, she's gonna put up some numbers now. Like, let's not get twisted. She's gonna put up some numbers. I know. What's her name? Said she's not gonna shoot 40 shots a game. Yo, she gonna probably shoot 40 shots in a game.
No, she's not. They do have some people. Indiana has Aaliyah Boston. Overall #1 pick last year.
Listen, Caitlin Clark better. I know she's better right now. She's the best player in Indiana right now. I'm just saying this. I would look. I did my research. I am not someone like when I want to make some statements, I'll do my damn research. I don't watch. Yeah. She's the best player for them right now. Okay. But is she gonna dominate the league? No. Like as good as Victor Wembanyama is, he ain't dominating the league. But he's a generational talent. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not saying they're going to be as bad as the Spurs are right now. I mean, hopefully they don't experiment like Aaliyah Boston at point guard, like the Sohan at point guard, like the Spurs did. but she's going to be really good. She's going to be one of the ones you talk about 20 years from now, 20, 25 years from now. I think she's that good. She's that good, like because to me. I know people talk about the scoring and the three-point shooting. For me, I always when you can pick a team apart with your passing as well, if you're capable of doing that, it kind of takes you to another level. I think Steph has kind of done that same way. Even though Jordan and Kobe are recognized for the scoring, like there were some real lethal passers like at their peak. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And I think that to me just kind of even Shaq, like when he was in the post. You know, when those Lakers were three-peating, like it was hard to guard Shaq. Why? Because like he had that handout right here, and he was just picking defenses apart. It's the same thing with Caitlin. Like why I feel like Caitlin will be a generational, barring any injuries, is because the way obviously her three-point shooting range, her shot creating, she keeps the ball alive and stuff like that. But she can beat a team with her passing. Just like she can beat a team with her scoring, and I think that's what just is going to always be the separator for me when it comes to her.
That's fair. I don't know, Chelsea, if you feel like that. I just thought about some of the girls while Ani and you were talking. I'm like, okay, like you said, Taurasi and Maya Moore. I don't think she's necessarily more talented than. I think she's better than Shamika Holtzclaw. And the reason I say that is because, dude, Shamika Holtzclaw was that good, but like she also had the second best player in the country on the team, the third best player in the country on the team, best freshman on the country. Like Tennessee's recruiting was so good. Right. It was kind of like UCLA at its peak, or maybe like Duke under Krzyzewski at his peak. There were so many good girls. They were so much better than the third and fourth and fifth team in many of those years, as I recall. From what I recall, you know.
And that's what makes it so hard. Like that's why I think for me, maybe that's more I have Caitlin because those teams were so good. Like you can tell how good those players were. They were, but like. She's doing it with way lesser talent. And I do think in the WNBA, for her to be like that, she's going to be really good. Yeah. You got to be smart on how you build around her too. Like, I think if you build bad around her, you're only going to get a really, really good player. but you got to maximize something like that. I think when you got players of that talent, you better surround them with the right talent around them. You know what I'm saying? When you get to that professional level.
Yeah.
I don't know, Chelsea. Go ahead.
Caitlin is a generational player, especially college player. I guess not struggle with her because I think that she is going to go to the WNBA and be absolutely just fine. My prediction for her next year, she's going to the Indiana Fever, which, besides what Ani said, they do have good players, especially young, talented players.
I'm studying W homework.
Yeah, so they didn't make the playoffs this year, Indiana Fever, but they do have Aaliyah Boston. They do have Kelsey Mitchell. These are all people that were all-stars, Ani. They have Nalissa Smith. They have Nalissa Smith, so Caitlin is going to be an exceptional piece. She's going to be an exceptional player. Her shooting ability and especially her passing ability, I think, is what puts her over the top players like, Sabrina and Kelsey Plum, who scored at a really high clip and did incredible things in college. And I do 100% agree with Ani and how she's able to do more with way less in terms of talent. But I don't, it's hard for me because we love to move the goalposts in certain scenarios. Since the beginning of time on the men's side, the women's side, it's been about championships and winning and doing this and doing that. If you just want to talk about Caitlin as an individual, she has individually had some of the single most best performances of any women's college player we've ever seen. But when you have a player like Breanna Stewart, who went 4 for 4 in national championships, 3 for 4 in players of the year, it's just difficult.
Look at those teams. Look at those teams.
Yeah, the teams are stacked. And pause. Now let me take it to the WNBA. Yeah. Can you tell me the last guard, Ani, who was an MVP in the WNBA?
It's been because they throw it inside more.
No, it's been 20 years in Cheryl Swoop. Guards don't come into the WNBA and run the league. It does not happen.
I'm telling you, I feel like
those are much bigger and stronger. Yeah.
It doesn't happen, Ani.
But the game is a little different. They do like to throw. The game is
different. But guards are not coming into the WNBA. There's been a learning curve, and we've seen it for everybody. That does not mean that Caitlin is not going to shine.
So my whole thing is this. My whole thing is this. Why draft her if all you're going to do is just throw it in the damn post? I know. I'm just saying this. There is a learning curve. I just think this is all I'm getting at.
Okay, go ahead.
Maybe this is just my thinking. If I drafted Caitlin Clark, the ball got to be in her hands. You see what I'm saying?
It will be.
I think
from a business decision, it does.
From not even business, just a basketball. Like I think you put it in your hands and you trying to win. And you got players around her like Indiana does. Like I'm not trying to diss them, but I do think she is the best player when she comes in. Because I think if you were going to trust a rookie to put the ball in your hands and help you lead, she got to be pretty damn good. In my opinion, for what?
I want to profit on it. I want to put the ball in her hands. I try to make some money.
Yeah, right. Well, that for sure. But I'm saying, okay, if Caitlin comes in, they didn't make the playoffs, and they come in, and let's say they get to the Eastern Conference finals or something like that. Like, then how good? Like, if she's moving the needle that much, I think she's capable of moving the needle that much. I'm not saying I'm saying that to me, like as a rookie or like a second year, goddamn, you're damn near a generational type player if you can move the needle that much for a team that didn't make the playoffs for how many years? It's been a little bit now.
No, yeah,
like that. Yeah, that's all I'm getting at. Yeah, like if he can move the needle that much,
he's going to come in and she's going to improve Indiana. I'm just talking about the struggle of just people thinking like, we had a whole pod on Cheryl Swoops just saying, you can't come in as a guard in the WNBA and just be the best. People are saying she's going to be she's the best player ever. She's the best player now. Honey, it doesn't work like that. That's all I'm saying.
She's a generational talent. I'm not saying she's going to be the best player ever.
Yeah, it's just hard. Like people are telling me, she's going to be MVP in 3 years. There has not been a guard MVP in 20 years.
But honey. I do think if Indiana changes, if they were smart and they changed the way they played, then yes, she could. But I do agree.
Listen,
I do agree.
New York changed the way they play for Sabrina. The San Antonio, before they became the Aces, changed the way they play for all-time scorer Kelsey Plum. It's not enough. You have to have a good team in the WNBA, and the league is just different. It's not enough, Ani.
But I don't. MVP could be. I do think she wins the MVP at her time in the WNBA. I think she will win MVP. I think she will.
Chelsea.
I think she will win the MVP.
And I'm saying this purely if Caitlin is able to win an MVP, then I will be the first person to tip my hat, because historically, like I said, Ronnie, last guard MVP in the WNBA was in 2005, and it was Cheryl Swoops. So right now, Asia Wilson is in her prime. Breanna Stewart is in her prime. There's too many people. That's why I'm saying, like, I want people to let Caitlin get into the league, grow, be great. She's going to be a WNBA All-Star over time. She's going to probably be Rookie of the Year. She's going to elevate Indiana. And doing all those things, Ani, is okay. But saying that she's going to be the best player in a league where it's just not happening
not immediately, but eventually she will.
Eventually she'll be the best player of the league.
If we compare her to Steph Curry, then, like, to me, I kind of look at it like at some point she's going to be the best player in the league.
I compare her to Steph Curry in terms of her shooting and just the way she just the motion and how she's moving the needle.
Yeah, I think she'll be the best player at some point. I ain't gonna say like a rookie year, 1, 2, 3 years. No. But she eventually will.
So then you're saying, basically what you're saying to Chelsea, she's way better than Ionescu and Plum. Way better. In essence.
I think that she's better than those two, but I'm just saying those two people
not NBA MVPs.
Listen, they didn't have the same type of motion as Caitlin, but I'm just saying the scoring ability. Let's remember, Kelsey Plum led the NCAA before Caitlin did, and she came into the league and she struggled for a couple seasons because it's hard. Everybody's athletic, big, strong. They're not going to play defense like LSU did today. It's going to be difficult, and I don't think that means that Caitlin's not going to shine. She's a great player, but I'm not going to put somebody who's never played in the WNBA and think that she's just going to come in there and doing something historically that nobody's ever done. If you can give me a guard that's done it, then let's do it. But, Breanna Stewart's still here. Asia Wilson's still here. There's still a whole bunch of guards that are just more than formidable that have, clawed and scratched to even try to be in those type of conversations that haven't won anything. Skylar Diggins, Jewel Lloyd, Enrique, the list goes. These are incredibly talented players. And
now my thing is this: was she better than those players you just mentioned in college? Was she better than those players
in college?
Yes.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If she's a better
chance,
I'm just saying, like, down the road, she's gonna be really, really
if you want to talk about motion and what people did in college, like Skylar Diggins is at the top of the damn list. Like, you want to talk about just fans popping out and Lil Wayne and Drake wearing her jersey.
For sure. That's Ronnie talking about that.
I'm talking how she looks.
The player. Caitlin was better than
way better than Skylar.
Way better than those girls in college. But I don't.
Yeah, I agree that Caitlin was a better player, but I'm saying just regardless of that, just historically, maybe Caitlin will be the first girl, Ronnie and Ani. I don't know. But history says that these guards are not coming into the league and running anything. The only players that have hit the ground running in women's college basketball have been bigger, small forward type players. And that's Breanna Stewart and Maya Moore and Candace Parker, the only person in the history of the league who won Rookie of the Year and MVP. We've never seen it with a guard. So I'm not saying that.
But look at Steph Curry. I guess why maybe because I mirror it more. Is Steph, when he was in the draft, did not think the way he played was going to translate well in the NBA. You got to remember, they drafted Johnny Flynn. The Timberwolves drafted 3 people before they drafted Steph. Ricky Rubio, because he didn't fit the league at the time. And I guess where I'm coming from is I think she's good enough to kind of tilt that enough where if she goes to the right, like Steph also went to the right situation in Golden State. I know he had the ankle injuries, and luckily they kind of saved him with all the stuff because he may never really know who he is with injuries. But I do think he kind of got into the right situation where now they allowed him to do what he does. And I think Caitlin, I just kind of look at it more like Steph. She's good enough to kind of change that as far as maybe the team that she's on or the way they play because of her ability to score. The way she scores it, you can't. I'm saying like you basically can't run your stuff more on the traditional approach. Maybe what they do for the MVP voting, they're still going to vote for a forward, a big wing, and stuff like that. But I think the way she is, I think the way her teams will play are going to be different than what we've seen in the past. And I think because I've seen that with Steph.
A game changer.
Yeah, I think she's a game changer.
What Chelsea's saying, Ani, is that there's way less teams. There's like half the teams at the NBA. There's just the talent is just more congregated on less teams.
Yeah.
And
I just think you're doing her a disservice though. Like I guess for me, you would be doing a disservice if you don't even try to experiment with that. Yeah. When you got a player that does what she does. That's my hope. That's my whole thing.
I agree with her being a game changer, Ani, but as incredible as Caitlin is, and like I said, I picked Caitlin over Kelsey Plum and Sabrina Ionescu. But in terms of style of play, they're very similar. Sabrina is shooting the long ball, the three, getting triple doubles, passing. That still didn't put her anywhere near the best players in the league. So it's not like this is like we've never seen it before. She went to New York. She played. She did well. Credit to Sabrina. She's in her third or fourth season, and she became a first-time All-Star, which is the same trajectory I see with Caitlin Clark. Maybe she'll get it sooner in 2 years. Maybe she'll get it in 1 year, like Aaliyah Boston did. But I'm saying it's not like some unheard of system, Ani. I'm telling you, we just saw it happen with Sabrina and Kelsey.
I think she just moves a little bit different than those other cats.
100%. I agree with that.
She moves a little different, and that's why I'm saying like
I agree. But I'm just saying, don't act like people haven't tried it.
Not stylistically.
Number one, it was the same thing.
I think if you try with her, you're gonna get it. You'll get a pretty damn good result. I think the game in 5 years is not gonna be the same as how it is.
That's my next question for you, Ani.
I think the game is gonna evolve.
Chelsea,
the game is gonna evolve more than that too.
Okay. Chime in, Chelsea. I'm gonna ask Ani. Ani, in 10 years, does the W have a totally different, way more perimeter-oriented, girls chasing the three ball in the corner like the NBA's turned into? Or is she going to change the young girls that much? Like I don't know if maybe she changes the young girls that much because I think her and Juju Watkins are like generational type level players. Okay. I really said that. I think it'll be more perimeter oriented. I think it's gonna be more perimeter oriented. I don't think it's gonna be like the league, like the NBA. I don't think it has to. I don't think it has to. I hope it doesn't. I hope the girls are too talented.
Yeah, but I do think you're going to see more of it. I think you will see more of it. I think you'll see more of it. I think you'll see more of an appreciation of guards in the W 10 years from now. And I think you'll see more guard MVP candidate. I think you will see it 10 years from now. I think the game is going to evolve. I think the game kind of has to evolve. I always think the game needs to be changing, men and women, in my opinion. I do think there's always things that we can always clean up, but I do think she's going to help, I guess, in my opinion, make more. I'm not saying guards aren't appreciated, but I think it's going to be more perimeter oriented. And I do think you're going to see more guard MVP candidates or guard MVP winners down the road 10 years from now. I think we will go away a little bit more from, it's got to be more of a big wing or frontline guy. I think 10 years from now.
How about you, Chelsea? You feel the same way?
No, I object because let me tell you, the guard play in the WNBA right now is so high level and so special. The truth
but they're not appreciated. But I don't think they're valued the way
it is appreciated, Ani. It's just Breanna Stewart and Asia are just better than everybody. You can appreciate
stronger.
They're just better. So it's you want to talk about high level guard play, like Arike, like Jewel, high level people that can score and do all kinds of stuff. But the fact of the matter is that the best players in the league right now are just Asia Wilson and Breanna Stewart.
So you think 10 years from now they're going to be the same? I'm saying, I think
10 years from now they'll be out. So maybe they'll be.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
No, but he's saying, Ani, are you saying that there's going to be 2, 3, 4 girls shooting from the logo and just boom, boom,
there's
boom?
Going to be more. There's going to be more of that a decade from now. There's going to be more of that.
And there's people that shoot from the logo down the WNBA.
I'm telling you, it's going to there's I'm not saying they're not appreciated. That's not what I'm getting at. I'm saying like, yo, those people, like you're gonna look at it 10 years now, like Enrique should have won the MVP. Yeah, for sure. She should have, but 10 years from now, they're gonna give someone that plays like her.
And you know, that could be very fair. The bottom line I'm making is I do not want to take nothing away from Caitlin, and I believe that she is going to be exceptional and do just fine in the WNBA. I just want people to understand that the WNBA is a very special league, a very exclusive league. It's 144 players, it's 12 teams and 12 players. So you guys, there's people that have argued me down about Caitlin Clark that cannot name 10 players in the WNBA. So you cannot tell me a girl is and Caitlin Clark is the best player when you can't name the teams and the players that are playing, Ronnie. That's all I'm saying. She's special.
I think it's wild. I think it's wild to say that she's the best. I think it's wild to say she's going to be the best. Like she is the best player in the WNBA right now. I think that's very disrespectful.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I think that's wild. I do, in my opinion, just because I went back and watched some Indiana Fever games. Like I did that on purpose because I felt like she's going to be the. No, I did. On real talk, YouTube is a hell of a drug. YouTube is a hell of a drug. But I do think she will be. Maybe best player was too far. She's going to be one. She's going to arguably be the most important player when she kind of comes in because with her on the ball, I think is going to help. Is going to do more. I think they'll win games. I think they'll get in the playoffs. So I do feel like that. I just want to see if someone is going to be like, okay, we have this piece. We may need to be a little unconventional on how our offense is geared around because we do have this piece, like Golden State was with Steph. So what I think 10 years from now, I think we'll see a little bit more of it. I think it's good if the girls' game kind of evolves. Maybe it's not completely too perimeter oriented, but it's a little bit. I think there's a lot of really good guards, but I do think we should see. And Breanna Stewart and AJ Wilson are dominant, but I do want to see more guard MVPs. I think that is kind of why we are 20 years and we have not seen a guard MVP. I think that's why. I think down the road. Maybe this is me being more hopeful than predicting. I think we will see that. We'll see that more a decade from now. We'll see more guards. That's why I say more appreciated that they're going to be more MVP. They're going to win the MVP. You know what I mean? Like I think it's crazy. It's 20 years. I think that's why.
I think that's fair. And things evolve on you. So you very well could be right about, the shift and what's going to change. I just want to bring awareness to how special the WNBA is. And Caitlin Clark is a special player. She's going to go in there and she's going to do great things. But I could not just dub her the best player in the entire world when there's just so many good players. No, she's special. She's a day one impact player. She's going to be that. I don't think anybody thinks anything less. I just told you I can see her being Rookie of the Year, see her being an all-star in, her second season, maybe her first season. Aaliyah Boston, who's a post player, was able to do that in her first season with Indiana last year. It is about the system and how they build around her and how they choose to use her. And when you have a special player like that, she has to be pushed to the forefront. So I 100% agree with the stuff that you're saying, Ani. I just object to the people that don't know the history of WNBA and don't really know anything about the WNBA.
Yeah, I think it's disrespectful.
About the WNBA.
You want to capture them. So that's my thing. Is how much does the W need the business of Caitlin Clark to come in? Both of you can chime in. They need to capture this lightning in the bottle, but how and will they?
I think. Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go.
Oh yeah, they do. They do need it. I don't think
they need it.
They need it. I say this, like, to me right now, the two women, I know Juju still got a few more years, but like when Angel comes in, she's gonna struggle, but she'll be fine. Like I think these women that are coming in that have a lot of popularity in the game and then are really good. I think they do need them to be successful in the league. I do think so. Not saying it's like make or break for the W, right? Like the W is still going to be long standing stuff, but I would love to see more higher salaries for the women in the game. I know if women like Caitlin are coming in and killing and stuff, like all these other girls, like I want more awareness in the game. Like this is my struggle is We go to this Elite Eight, Final Four, the women's games, this and the third. And then when the summers come in the WNBA, people halfway forget that the games are even going on. You know, mainly only the aces, we really kind of see a lot of like packed crowds, mainly. And I think that they need Kaylin to work, but also it's up to the W on how they promote her, how they promote their players going forward, and how they can just generate more money for these girls. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's just, to me, that's like, we need to build more awareness. It can't stop when they're in college. You know what I'm saying? Like, people know Breanna Stewart and Asia Wilson are doing really good in the WNBA, but like, they're popular. I felt like Breanna Stewart popular in college from college to now. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, they didn't get it from like here to here. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like still
the UConn brand is stronger than most WNBA brands.
Yeah, and I think they just got to figure out how to just grow the brand stronger. When you get when you get women like that, even Caitlin, or just after her, like how they need her to work out, but they have to figure out how to build stronger brands. Where we don't want to come back and then Caitlin Clark, like a couple years from now, like the next one comes up and they're talking about her and they're like, oh, what WNBA team does Caitlin Clark play for? You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't, like, I don't want that. Like, you can mention Breanna Stewart and I guarantee you, like,
most people don't know who
80%, they only know what team she plays on. You know what I'm saying? That are, you know, that are just casual
fans.
Right. But in the men's game, you know, they know if they watch that Steph Curry, they still know Steph Curry plays for Golden State. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's, I guess, where I'm coming from.
Connotation. Yeah.
Yeah. It's got, for sure.
Chelsea, we've had an episode about this with Kelsey Bone about 1.5 years ago. We talked about this extensively. Now we're here 1.5 years later. Do you feel that? Do you feel the same sentiments? What do you feel?
Caitlin Clark is 100% good for the game. Like, nobody can deny that, like, dispute that. That's undisputable. But Caitlin Clark aside, the WNBA is trending upward. The league is 26 years old. The money, I just retired from basketball. I played 10 years professionally. The money has increased substantially. The max pay has increased substantially. The viewership has increased. We're playing on ESPN. Like, you know, the WNBA used to be played on Lifetime at 11 a.m. Well, dang, that's not good for the league. Everybody's at work. You know, like, so I don't want to take away for the stuff that Caitlin can bring to the WNBA. And I pray to God that those fans follow her there so then they can see all the other good talent that's in the league that they never even heard about or thought about. But the WNBA has been trending in the right direction. So Caitlin Clark is adding to it, and that's exceptional. But the money has gone up, Ani. The max pay has gone up. The
What's it right now? What, 250 though?
Huh?
Is it 250 right now?
225.
Yeah, like, that's what I'm saying. It's gone, like, bro, like, I know it's gone up substantially, but 250, bro. Like, Ani, to me, that's still disrespectful.
But I'm saying, where does the money come from in basketball? The cap in the NBA goes up because their TV agreements and everything are going up. Like, it's a process.
That's what I was saying earlier about Kane's getting that ball and they need to build around.
She's bringing viewership and fans, and I pray that those fans follow her because I'm telling you, Skylar Diggins had fans, Breanna Stewart, Maya Moore had fans. The problem is when they got to the league, they didn't give a damn anymore. So I hope those people follow. And then guess what? When they're watching Caitlin Clark with Indiana, they can say, damn, who's Chelsea Gray from the Aces? She's really good. You know, like, that's how it's going to happen. Like, and so we do need that to happen. And Caitlin has a place in this league to change things. Nobody's going to dispute that. But we're not going to act like stuff wasn't already happening. The WNBA is a young league, Ani. It's year 26, year 27, I think, is coming up. Where was the NBA at year 27, Ronnie? Were these people making $40 million a year?
No, but you know what really cracked though? Like, what really did it was that magic.
Exactly.
Magic
and that's what I argue about all the time.
And I think that's what wrong.
Magic
so maybe Caitlin will give us a moment like that. Who knows?
Yeah,
but
I think Caitlin,
if they win that whole thing, that might be the moment, Ani.
Right. But I'm saying, but the NBA, and why I'm going back to the W on this, like, the NBA saw this Magic and Bird stuff, and they created a narrative that allowed people to know.
And the NBA has done a horrible job in terms of marketing and stuff like that. So that's my point. Caitlin Clark is great for the game. She's going to add everything, and everything she adds, the WNBA needs it. Nobody's going to say, hold on, Caitlin Clark, like you're doing too much. We need that. But I'm just saying, I'm not going to act like the WNBA and the game hasn't been growing substantially. It's a process. It's a process, Ani. 10 years from now, it's not going to just be because of Caitlin Clark. It's going to be the evolution of the WNBA. The WNBA in year 27 should look differently than year 37, right, Ani? Like
it should. It should. That's why I said 10 years from now we need guard MVPs.
Chelsea was just saying, Ronnie, what was the NBA like 40 years ago or 50 years ago? Yeah, a bunch of centers winning MVP.
Yeah,
and I'm saying that at some point we gotta move on from that shit. Like we gotta move on from that.
Right.
You know
In the first 40 years of the NBA, only Oscar Robertson won an MVP. They were all, and then Michael Jordan Magic came along and changed the whole narrative.
100%. And I would love for a guard to win MVP. I would love for Caitlin Clark to win MVP. But I'm gonna tell you right now, because I know the league, she better get in line. Because there's a lot of girls
I'm saying a lot of girls jump the line.
There's a lot of girls that are very talented in the WNBA, and that's what I'm most excited about. Caitlin Clark, bring all the eyes that followed you through your Iowa career, bring it on down to the WNBA so they can see that there's some girls out here that are really a force to reckon with. That you don't know anything about.
I just think women's college basketball create better storylines than the W right now. 100%. And I do understand that.
That's what I argue with Chelsea and a couple of WNBA players, the brands and
100%.
They're growing.
If you can capture that, Ani, and bring it. That's what the NBA smartly did, like you said with Magic and Bird. Yeah. So, like I said, we'll keep going and we'll close out here soon. But we've already talked, like we said this before. I said, Pat Summitt is basically John Wooden. Gino Auriemma is basically, Adolph Rupp, and now we need Magic and Bird. And we've kind of said that we need to capture it in a bottle. And how do we do that? And maybe we will. Maybe this is the moment. I mean, the viewership is way up to Chelsea's point. The Iowa Sweet 16 game was the third most watched game ever.
Yeah.
More than all the last 20 Final Fours. So that's good. That's like, whoa. And I'm sure this game's going to break numbers. We're going to.
This UConn Iowa game might break the internet. Like,
I think UConn win. I think after this UConn Iowa game, I think Paige is going to be. People are going to argue Paige or Caitlin.
Yeah,
I'm not saying she is. I'm not like that's me, but I think Gino, Chelsea made a point. They're gonna game plan a lot better against.
Thank you.
But Paige, that's a bad one. That's a bad one right there. She can play now. She can really have to play now. I think the casuals are going to be like, oh, she's better than Caitlin. But I do think this game will.
Caitlin, God dang.
No. Watch how Twitter. Watch how.
First of all, don't say casuals because Paige is very special, and she would be. She's been hurt every year, Ani. She's been national every year as a freshman.
She's not better than Caitlin. But she's not better than Caitlin.
Yeah, I think 1A, 1B. If we're being honest.
I think it's 1 and 2.
1A and 1B.
1 and 2. But I do think Gino is a hell of a coach. I think that team is ran like a machine, and I think they will win. But I'm not going to make that game be the reason I say that she's better than Caitlin. Nope. But I do think she's really effing good though. Paige is really freaking good.
1B.
1 and 2.
You can take Caitlin, Ani. I'll take Paige, and I'll sleep like a baby at night. I promise.
I'll take Gino. I'll take Gino and Paige.
It's so good. No, I said you take Caitlin, I'll take Paige, and I would lose absolutely no sleep. Paige is that special.
And I won't either.
She's gonna remind people, Ronnie. And I'm not saying that
I'm gonna lose sleep because of Gino. If I go against that man, I would lose sleep.
So next Friday and next Sunday. So UConn versus South Carolina. What's your guys' predictions? That's what you guys were saying going to the final. What's happening in that game?
South Carolina.
Okay,
so they're gonna go undefeated. Chelsea, they're gonna go undefeated.
Ooh, they're still my pick. I got to stick beside them, but I'm telling you, I'm even a little hesitant with the NC State matchup. I think they have the best backcourt in the tournament. Like I'm telling you, you guys have again to our point. People, our viewers, they only know Caitlin Clark, but I'm here to tell you that Isaiah James and Sanaya Rivers are must see TV, and them two together tandem, like they're very special. So South Carolina, better team, and they should win. But I think they're going to have difficulty. It's not going to be an easy game. And I think that UConn Iowa game is going to be a dogfight. It is going to be Paige versus Caitlin. And I think Gino, better coach. Paige, been there, done that, experience. Caitlin has too. I think this is Paige's moment to not redeem herself, because the only reason she fell off was because she just had injuries. But the way people talk about Caitlin, they talked about Paige like that when she was a freshman. So she can run it back and put people on notice, like, okay, I'm healthy now. And healthy Paige.
And she's coming back.
Yo, if that USC game didn't put people on notice, they see how she got them buckets, bro. Yeah. Like, she looked like a professional.
And she will be, and she'll be your number 1 pick next year. Just so y'all know.
Yeah.
What's the chances? UConn and UConn win, maybe 20%. Both teams, both programs.
I have
no chance.
Ooh, that's a good question.
Of the Final Four, I got South Carolina 50.
Yeah,
I got Iowa, UConn 20, and then I give the other 10% to NC State of the 4 teams that's left.
Yeah, and on the boys' side,
just too deep. Good coach, good experience, but they don't have the singular best player, so maybe.
Ani, real quick before we get out of here, Edey versus Clingan. Donovan Clingan. People like, ooh, the big men are backwards. It's just just a game, and we move on, and we want to shoot threes there.
I mean, it's just college men's basketball. I mean, because we have this no defensive 3 second, what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, there's been no 3 seconds called.
Yeah, I mean, So I mean, just the big men is just a little different because they can paint sit. But Zach, I think Clingan gives Zach Edey help. I think he's going to give him help because Clingan's more mobile, get up and down. I think he'll be able to contain him a little bit. Zach Edey lives in that free throw line. I'll say this, I like Clingan, even though he's not offensively better in the post than Edey. But I think Edey won't be able to bully himself around in the paint like that with Donovan, which he's going to really make it harder for him. And I think because Donovan can get up and down the floor faster, it's going to make more of a lob threat is going to be harder. UConn's guards, it'll be interesting because UConn's guards can, I believe, like Tristan Noonan and them can kind of get to that paint with the floater game and stuff. So it makes Zach have to decide either I'm really going to contest these floaters, middies, or I'm going to play the lob. You see what I'm saying? So I'm interested to see if they really can abuse Zach playing drop coverage in those ball screen actions. And then if Donovan can run end to end better than Zach, I just like Donovan more because I think he can contain Zach more on the defensive side.
Yeah.
And I think Zach's going to have a harder time in ball screens because I think you're going to have to really defend the opposing team guards or, there's a lot of threat. I mean, you look at Tennessee, not to go too long on this, Jonas Edey, really, really good player, but Zach can recover and still get that. You see what I'm saying? Most of the bigs that he's gone against, he can still recover and get that. Against Donovan, it's a little different because he's longer, he's taller. You know what I mean? If you're half second slow, that's a dunk. You know what I mean? Those guards can really make you punish if you drop too far back and you paint sit. I think against him and DJ Burns, he's going to give DJ Burns hell. DJ Burns is going to be too small for that, height wise. But I think Donovan is going to give him a lot of work.
Okay, great. So all 6 of those games should be awesome. We'll check them out, and we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about other things coming up, such as the grassroots, quickly approaching season. We got McDonald's, like we said, later this week on Tuesday. We got Chipotle, we got USA, and we got Hoop Summit the following week. So it's going pretty fast. So we appreciate everybody sticking in. I know Chelsea and Ani really like going at it, talking about it. We can talk about this all night, because it's a great subject. I mean, I haven't really heard Ani be this passionate about the girls, and Chelsea's super passionate about it. So that's good sign.
Listen, I gotta come correct if I'm gonna talk women's basketball with.
Yeah, you sure do. You gotta get in the history books because I'm coming with that.
I ain't gonna listen. Listen. If I'm quiet, that means I ain't done enough. I ain't watching enough. Listen, I told you, me. I went in and I watched. I'm gonna keep watching because I don't know. I'm doing more studying. I don't like to be ignorant like that.
Yeah, and on the next pod, I might have to end with a little Ani pop quiz, Ronnie. So let's see.
Let's go. Let's do Ani pop quiz. Let's go.
So, Ani, on Friday, that means you're going to have to watch some semifinal games close.
Yeah, and you better be able to tell me about NC State. I just gave you the names. I want to scout when you come back.
I got you. I got
Wow,
you.
wow. So, yeah, it's been
did I do a pretty good job, my scout, today?
You did good. You did good.
I don't have anything to say other than Kate is a bad girl in the history books. Yeah, she's got to be a top 10 player in college.
Incredible.
Probably top 5, really. Because, again, some of them girls, yeah, if I play with Shamika Randall and I'd be awesome too. You know what I mean? Like some of these girls were awesome, like team wise. And that's one thing I'd say is that this field of girls, meaning these teams in the last 2-3 years, whether it's Sweet 16, Elite 8, they're way better than what I remember seeing 20 years ago. 30, you know, like the best teams were Tennessee. They were rolling. They were rolling. You know, the teams are better. So that's a great sign. And on that note, we're going to get out of here. Episode 184. We appreciate everybody tuning in. Until next time, we'll see you guys at the Final Four.